Hi everyone, this is Sean, Bid for Assets Digital Marketing Manager. In this video, we are going to be talking about how to participate in Okaloosa County, Florida foreclosure sales on Bid for Assets. The first thing that you will need to do to participate in this or any auction available on Bid for Assets is register for a free Bid for Assets account if you haven't done so already. There are no monthly fees required to maintain your account. It is completely free, and the registration process only takes a few minutes. To begin, you'll want to go to the top navigation bar on bidforassets.com and select Sign Up. From there, you'll be prompted to provide an email address and to create a password. That password will be what you use to log into your Bid for Assets account, as well as confirm your bids. So be sure to write it down or make it something that you feel confident you'll remember. From there, you'll need to provide some basic contact information, confirm your phone number, and finally log in to your email account to confirm the email address that you've placed on file and complete your registration. Bid for Assets has a video walking you through every step of this process, and you can access that video by going to bidforassets.com/videos. You will see that we've got many videos here walking you through the various steps of a Bid for Assets auction, including how to register for an account. Now, after you've created your account, the next thing that you'll want to do is go to the landing page on Bid for Assets for Okaloosa County foreclosure auctions. You can do this from the Bid for Assets homepage by selecting the Sheriff Sales/Foreclosure display here to the right of our map of the United States. From there, you can just select Okaloosa County and it'll take you straight to the sales main landing page. You'll see here that it defaults to showing you a calendar view so that you can easily see the dates for upcoming auctions. You can also easily switch over to list view up here next to the upcoming auctions display. Click this and it'll switch over to show you a list of available properties on the nearest available auction date. Speaking of that sales date display, if you choose between the different dates available here, it'll filter through the list and only show you properties that are available on that date. So for example, when I select August 1st, it's going to show me only properties that are scheduled to go to auction on August 1st. If there are more than 15 properties that are going to auction on a particular auction date, you can use the arrows at the bottom of the page here to go from page to page on the list. You can use the arrows at either end here to go to the first page on the list or the last page on the list, respectively. Bid for Assets also offers a free tool to download the property list as a spreadsheet. You can do this by clicking the Download Property List link here towards the right of the sales date display. You are going to need to be logged in to your Bid for Assets account in order to do this. So you will need to be sure that you've created an account and that you're logged in. Once you do that, you can download this property list as an Excel spreadsheet. It's a great way to sort through the list using details like zip code. Very helpful for performing your due diligence ahead of a sale. There are also search tools available towards the right of the list here. In particular, you can use the keyword search tool to pare down the list if you know a specific property that you're looking for. For example, let's say, pretend that this is a larger list. There's a lot more properties to sort through, but I know that the property I'm looking for is on Putter Drive. I could go over here to the keyword search, enter the word putter, hit enter, and you see it strips the list down to only show properties that match my keyword search. And then if you want to go back and look at the full list again, you can just select clear search filter and it'll populate the full list back into your view. So let's say I've gone through the list, I found the properties that I want to bid on. The next thing that I would need to do is fund my bid deposit to qualify for the sale. Now, Okaloosa County is going to require that you fund a deposit totaling 5% of your intended bid total amount. So, for example, if you wanted to bid $100,000 in the auction, you would need, on multiple properties, you would need to fund a deposit of $5,000 ahead of the sale in order to do this. 5% of the total that you plan to bid. You can always add or remove funds from your deposit, but keep in mind that you'll need to allow adequate time for those funds to clear. It usually takes 2 to 3 business days after you submit your deposit for it to clear. So plan accordingly. Have an idea of the amount that you intend to bid on auction day, and be sure that you've funded 5% at least of that total amount to bid for assets. Deposits should be funded directly to bid for assets. There are 2 methods of payment that you can use to do this. Those are cashier's check and wire transfer. You can obtain instructions on specifically how to fund a deposit directly from the auction pages available for this sale. So, for example, let's go back to July 25th, and I want to fund a deposit for this property. I go to the auction page, and you'll see right away up towards the top of the page where it says click here for deposit instructions, this big orange button. I can select that. I am going to need to be logged in to my Bid for Assets account to proceed, but this is going to start the process of me getting deposit instructions. Now you're going to see that the next thing it requires you to do is provide pre-vesting information, detailing how you'd like any potential property that you've won to be titled. Once you fill that information out, you can click continue, and it's going to take you to a page where you're going to choose your deposit method, either cashier's check or wire transfer, and then take you to a page that gives you full instructions on submitting your deposit. I recommend just printing that page out, taking it to your bank, and then your bank will submit the deposit on your behalf. Just like with registration, Bid for Assets does have a video walking you through every step of this process, and you can access that video again by going to bidforassets.com/videos. You'll see right here a video tutorial on submitting a bid deposit. It goes a little bit more in depth on the step-by-step of that process. So once Bid for Assets receives your deposit, it will be processed and you will be notified via email and your Bid for Assets message center accessible from your account once you have been cleared to bid. Again, that'll usually take 2 to 3 business days after you submit your deposit. After that point, you should get a notification that it's been cleared and you're able to bid. Now let's take a closer look at an individual auction page and go through what you need to be aware of when you're actually coming in to submit your bid. So the first thing to note is that once you're logged in to your Bid for Assets account on auction day, this display up top where it says click here for deposit instructions is going to vanish. Instead, you're going to see a bid box where you can go in and enter your bid amount. Something to keep in mind, specifically for Okaloosa County, is that once you're logged in and you have funds cleared to participate in the sale, it's going to show you here how much in total you're able to bid and how much you are currently committed for in your available funds. So let's say, for example, that you've funded a $5,000 deposit, which means that you are allowed to bid $100,000 on any spread across any available properties in the sale. You've bid $75,000 on an auction that you're currently the high bidder on. That means that you're currently committed for $75,000, which means you only have $25,000 left to bid on other auctions. If you are outbid, then you're no longer committed to that $75,000. You are able to, again, bid your full $100,000 available across the spread of auctions available for this date. If you were to then bid $80,000 on another auction and become the high bidder, at that point, you're committed for $80,000 and you'd only have $20,000 available to continue bidding. So to put it another way, our system will not allow you to be the high bidder or win more than 20 times the amount that you funded as a deposit. So if you fund a $5,000 deposit, you will not be able to buy more than $100,000 worth of property. You know, it's generally best practice coming into a public auction like this to have an idea in your mind of the amount you are willing to bid. So just take that action ahead of a sale. Know the amount that you're willing to bid, total spread across the properties available on this date, and make sure that you've funded the deposits appropriately for that intended amount. 5% of that total amount is what you're going to need to submit. Now, as for the auction page itself, it's going to have any available information that the clerk of court can provide to assist you in your due diligence ahead of the sale. Keep in mind that neither the clerk of court nor Bid for Assets is going to have additional information on the condition of the property or its title status, including whether the property is free of any liens. Because of this, it's very important that you complete your own due diligence prior to bidding on a property. This includes researching the condition and value of the property, as well as any relevant information regarding its title status. Both Bid for Assets and the Clerk of Court's office would recommend that you consult with an attorney before purchasing property from a foreclosure sale. Bid for Assets president led a webinar on how to research tax sale properties. And much of the information in that video is going to be relatable and extremely helpful for your foreclosure sale due diligence. And you can find that video one more time by going to bidforassets.com/videos. If you go down here, you'll find it says Due Diligence, a guide to researching tax sale properties with Bid for Assets president. I highly recommend checking that video out. You'll discover a lot of useful tools that can help you with researching properties ahead of a sale. Something I'll mention here, however, is that while you should never set foot on a property that's scheduled for a foreclosure sale, because that would constitute trespassing, it may be a good idea to drive by and view the exterior of the property prior to bidding. Now, once the auction opens for bidding, you can log in to your Bid for Assets account, and as long as you've got your deposit cleared, you'll be able to start bidding in the sale. I'm actually going to switch over to a private auction just to show you what the bid box is going to look like. So once you're logged into your Bid for Assets account on auction day and you have a confirmed cleared deposit to participate in the sale, this button here where it says click here for deposit instructions is going to disappear. Instead, let's go ahead and check out a private auction in California. Instead, you will have a bid box displayed here where you can go in and you can start entering your bids. Now, there's two ways that you can go about bidding. You can either manually continue to bid up by an auction's bid increments, or you can go in and enter the maximum amount that you're willing to bid on the property. And Bid for Assets auto bid system will bid up to that amount on your behalf only as needed to outbid other competitors. So, for example, this auction has got a minimum bid of $1. If I know I'm willing to pay $50,000 for this property, I'm going to go in, I'm going to place my proxy bid for $50,000, my maximum amount, and I enter that bid. The system is going to first default to a bid of $1, the minimum, because nobody else has bid on this auction. In that case, if nobody else were to bid on this auction, I would win the property for $1. If other people started bidding on the auction, then the auto bid system would continue to bid up to my maximum on my behalf until one of two things happen. Either, let's say bidding reached $30,000. The auction would close. I would win the property for $30,000 because that's as high as bidding went to. Or if my maximum were exceeded, if bidding went up over $50,000, I would get a notification that I've been outbid, and at that point, I could go in and adjust my maximum if I wanted to. Remember that in most cases for a foreclosure sale, the lender is also going to be bidding on the property. So you will need to exceed their maximum amount in order to ultimately win and purchase the property. If you place a bid and it doesn't meet that maximum, you're going to get a notification immediately that you've been outbid. And you'll have the chance to go in and adjust your bid accordingly. Back here for Okaloosa, you're going to see that the auctions are going to be open from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Central Time. Additionally, auctions are going to have a 5-minute overtime period. What this means is that if somebody comes in the last 2 or 3 minutes of the auction and places what's called a snipe bid, you go when there's only a few minutes left in the auction and you place a large bid before anybody has a chance to respond, the auction clock is actually going to reset to show 5 minutes left in the auction. The reason for this is that Bid for Assets is designed to simulate the experience of being at the county courthouse bidding in a public auction as closely as possible. And in that case, you would see an auctioneer who would be, saying going once, going twice, sold. All participants would get the chance to bid the maximum amount that they are willing to on any given property. So, when we get to those final few minutes of an auction any bid that somebody places is going to reset the clock to display 5 minutes left in the auction. And if somebody bids during that interval, it'll reset again to 5 minutes. And it's going to continue doing that until 5 minutes have passed with nobody bidding on the auction. I've seen auctions go for a few hours past their closing time because people continue to bid. So a good tip is that when you get towards that closing time for an auction, you really want to be paying attention, because that's when you're going to see a large flurry of bids coming in and being placed. So with all that in mind, we get through the auction. We've won some properties. Let's talk a little bit about settlement terms. So the settlement terms, or the timelines and the amounts that will be due after the auction closes, are always going to be located on each individual auction page here towards the bottom. You're going to see where it says settlement requirements, and it's going to give you those details here at the bottom of the auction page. You can also find those terms back here on the auction's main landing page. If you go down past the property list, you'll see where you can click settlement instructions, and it's going to outline those terms for you there as well. We strongly encourage you to familiarize yourself with these settlement terms, because you must have the funds available to meet the payment timelines stated here, or you will be in default and you may be banned from future auctions. When all of the bidding on a particular foreclosure sale has concluded, you're going to receive an email letting you know if you've won any of the available auctions. This is after every auction available on that given date has closed, either with a winning bidder or with the property going back to the lender. Once everything has closed, that's when you're going to receive a notification letting you know if you have won any of the available auctions. And that email is also going to provide you with settlement instructions on how to submit your final payments, which, just like with your deposit, will need to be made directly to Bid for Assets. So, to recap some key points. To participate in foreclosure sales with Okaloosa County on Bid for Assets, you're going to want to do the following. 1, register a free Bid for Assets account. 2, visit the Okaloosa County foreclosure sale landing page on Bid for Assets and select the date of the auction or auctions that you want to review. 3, obtain deposit instructions and send your deposit for the auction or auctions that you want to bid in. And remember, you'll send one deposit for one auction date, and it should be 5% of the total amount that you plan to bid. 4, thoroughly research the properties that you intend to bid on and place your bids when the auctions open. Additionally, read the auction settlement terms ahead of time and be sure that you have the funds ready to complete the sale on any auction that you win. And finally, 5, if you are a successful bidder, follow the instructions in your post-auction email to complete your settlement. Again, foreclosure sales can be complicated. We understand that. So be sure to do your due diligence ahead of the sale and consult with an attorney ahead of the sale. Bid for Assets is available to help with live customer service, available over 40 hours a week. So always feel free to reach out to us by going to bidforassets.com/contact. You can also view Bid for Assets customer service contact information by going back to the top nav section of the website and selecting Contact Us. You're going to see that gives you access to Bid for Assets customer service phone number as well as our email address. And again, you can reach out to us at any time. Until then, we hope that this video was helpful for you, and we wish you the best of luck in your next auction on Bid for Assets.